Girl, let's talk about it. Did you hear them talking about it? Oh my God, did you know this?
Oh my God, Shawty lovely and Nicole. Shawty lovely and Nicole on a roll. Lighting up the stream, the vibe is full. Shawty lovely and Nicole, let's go. Kicking down doors, we make some noise. Grown folks talk with truth and voice. Doing it big, turning up the flow. Shawty lovely and Nicole, you know. Oh yeah, it's Shawty lovely and Nicole. Oh yeah, it's Shawty lovely and Nicole. Everywhere. Shawty loving me and Nicole, oh yeah. Grown talk vibes, the moment is here.
Thank you for tuning in.
Hey, girlfriend.
Hey, girlfriend.
How you doing today on this happy Monday?
Yeah, you didn't see them videos I posted up in there today?
Let's go back.
And a picture.
We gonna run them.
Yeah.
We definitely gonna run them. Of course. Y'all, we gonna run these videos. We is coming out again.
Yes.
See, that's where fatherless little girls have a deficit at.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why fathers are so important. Because a father's wise counsel tells his young daughter, that man is full of promises.
Mm-hmm.
That's called potential. And potential leaves you with potential.
How do you feel like not having a father figure present affected like you as a woman in general, you when it comes to dealing with men in general?
Mm-hmm. Well, at a younger age, when it came to dealing with men, I felt like I had to learn my self-worth like in a hard way.
Mm.
I felt like your father is the first person that show you like that love for a man.
Girl
So
dads,
like,
take note.
It help you see like, dang, like if you telling her like you just showing her all that love, I think of what I see with my daughter and her father. He just always telling her he love her, how beautiful she is, the way how he treat her, all the stuff he do for her. That sets the precedent for what she's going to look for one day in a man. So I feel like when you don't have that, and especially when you progress and get older, it's like
I feel like you look for that in all the wrong places and people.
But it's like you don't even realize that the treatment that you are allowing yourself to go through, you shouldn't even be dealing with that. So it's like I feel like we learn our self-worth the hard way.
Absolutely.
And it's when I'm now at this age, I know it now because, I've been through so much shit, but I still believe that real men exist. Mm-hmm. It's just that I did not know at that time you shouldn't even be entertaining this situation.
Yeah.
Because I had to grow to get to this mind space.
Yeah.
That was deep. So today's topic is growing up without him, the impact of not knowing your father.
Yep.
Now, this is a conversation that I think a lot of people can resonate to. Like they can, I think there's a lot of people that grow up in a home where they may not know their father at all. They may have a father that's present but not present. Like you can have a father in the home, but he's just not present. He's just there. And then you can have a father that you've never known at all. Like you just never knew who he was, never knew his name, don't know the bond or the growth or stuff like that. And I think this is one of the harder topics that, we talk about. We try to have our shows where we're laughing, and then we try to have the shows that people can relate to, that people can say, hey, I know what that looks like. I know what that feels like. And viewers, when you're coming in and you're speaking, if you have anything to say in regards to this topic, please leave it in the comments. We're going to be reading them today, especially if you can relate to the topic of not having a father in your home.
And I just asked we ask that everybody just be respectful and everything, because this topic it could, it could be really heavy for some people, and including us as well. So say what you want, just always keep it respectful and everything. We respect everybody's opinions on this platform as well, but we're not always going to agree on some things, and that's okay.
Correct. Correct. So let's just start with us since we are here. Um, your relationship with your father. Did you know your father? Did you grow up with your father? What was your life like as a child, with your father?
So this topic, I can relate to or not. I did not grow up with my father. Um, I did not. I grew up when I was raised in a single parent household, single mother, and we struggled to make it, but we made it with each other. But no, I did not know my father. My father was not in my life. He did not raise me or my other sibling, and that's that. My my father was not really a good person. He was abusive to my mother as well. So she ultimately had to, of course, get away from him.
So let me just I'm just going to ask, and if it's a question that you say, I don't think I can answer that, then just do that. So when you're saying you never knew your father, you never knew him at all, or you just don't remember him at all?
Never knew him at all. I was, a really little baby. I was a really little baby and everything. So no, I never knew him and everything, other than from the things that my mom told me.
So how do you think that impacts your life? How do you think that not knowing your father or not having him, how do you feel like it's impact your life as an adult, or just growing up as a teenager, a middle school, high school, elementary school? Like, did you feel like you was missing something? Was the void filled? You know, how did that work?
Not growing up. I mean, of course, it definitely has an impact on you growing up and everything. Boys need their fathers and girls need their fathers growing up. Um,
Mhm.
so I think it in it I thought about it at times, and it made me feel un, like he didn't love me, unloved.
Mhm.
Like he didn't care about me to be in my life, take care of me. My mom struggled to take care of me and my three siblings. I mean, she struggled. We have been through it, from homelessness to, we've been through a lot, financially. So it was very hard growing up. And yes, it makes it and I think it had a lot of impact on my young me, with me being a young adult as well. I didn't have a male role model in my life to show me how a man should treat a woman. So I think it it made a lot of it definitely, a lot of that stemmed from the way how I handled men and everything. And maybe I choose the wrong men to fall for and everything, because I don't have a male role model to show me how the way a man should prob, properly treat a woman. So I ended up going into the same cycle, and
Go
got in a, I had to learn a lot of hard lessons the hard way because of that. And I ended up getting in an abusive relationship for nearly 4 years.
Mhm.
And that has definitely had an impact on the way how I view men and see men. And, you know, I'm healing, I'm growing a lot. I'm healing. I'm growing and I'm healing and I'm learning a lot. But not having a father around, I have to say, has definitely had a severe impact on how I view relationships, men, and yeah.
Do you think that have you ever asked your mom about your dad and why he wasn't present? Like, I mean, you know a story that you said you made mention that he was abusive, and I'm assuming that's why your mom got away. But have you ever asked her, can I look for him? Do you want to know him? You know, do you want to know who he is and why he wasn't there, or why he was the way he was? Because a lot of times you have a lot of whys, like why this and why that. Do
Right.
you ever go through those whys in your head when you're just like, hey, I just want to know. I just want to know anything.
I'm not gonna lie. I wondered and everything, but there's a lot of my mom has a lot of trauma from that situation, so I try to be respectful of her feelings when it comes to that.
But what about yours?
I get it. I get it, and you're right. I wondered, but of course, I've heard stories that were not great, that were not good, that were awful, and it made me kind of not really. Made me reluctant to ever want to know him and everything. Hey, Valon.
Hey,
I
Devon.
recently
Mhm.
this year, I met one of his siblings, which happens to be my biological aunt. And, I was able to get a little bit of insight and everything. I was able to get a little bit of insight and everything, but I have I have a whole bunch of siblings and everything and around this world, and I was able to meet them a few years ago, not meet them in person, but we all formed a chat because one of the older siblings pulled everybody into a group. We pulled mostly everybody into a group chat because there's a lot of us. There's
Mhm.
a lot of us. And I met the aunt recently, and one person I remember, she invited me to a gathering and everything. I hadn't seen her in almost 30 years because she had a falling out with my mother, but we reunited and everything. And somebody asked me that question. Somebody said to me, they was like, do you have any desire to meet your dad? And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that because it's just, hearing, knowing the stories that my mom told me,
Mhm.
it's just, it makes me kind of just not want to ever meet or have a relationship with him. I don't know. Maybe I might feel, you never know how you feel down the line, but now I know in my heart, I probably wouldn't want to meet that man.
So if you had, let's say, you were out just in Atlanta, and you are in a store and you see somebody that looks like you, and just say that it was him, and you felt, because you know how sometimes when you don't have a parent and somebody is absent, but when you get around somebody, you be like, I know this person from somewhere, like, but your memory is very vague. What would that look like to you if you could stand in front of him and say, I want to know why? What would that why look like if you ever came across his path? Like, what would that conversation be? Or would you even have one? Or would you just be like, I don't even know, I'm lost for words, I don't know what to say at all?
I will probably lost for words because I don't know I don't, if that ever happened, I don't know what I would do in that type of situation. I don't know how I would react.
Mhm.
And then a lot of people are, and then it's going to affect my family. It's going to have a big effect on my family, my mom, my brother. I don't know. I don't know how that, I don't know how I would look. I don't know what I would say. I don't know, even know where to start.
Mhm.
I just know it ain't going to be no happy feeling.
But then, okay, so let me play devil's advocate for a minute, okay? So you only know the stories that you've been told.
Mhm.
You have no all you know is what your mama told you, what maybe some other people might have said, hey, this is what it was, this is what it was. And I'm not saying nobody's lying. That may be very well what it was. But what about his truth? What about his story? What about his side? Because there's always two sides to a story than the truth. What about his truth? Because if you believe in, he might have, sometimes people, they come from what their upbringing is. Maybe his life was trauma. Maybe he didn't have a father. Maybe he didn't have a foundation. If you don't know nothing about his life, then how do you label him if you really don't even know the kind of person he really truly was? Because you don't know anything about him.
Well, it ain't even just my mom who told me he's a bad person. Even his own family doesn't deal with him. His sister,
And then what about
who told me that she has not spoken to him in over 20 years because of who he was. And
yeah.
of course, all of the siblings, even the older siblings, who told me, yeah, he wasn't shit in nobody's life. So I get what you're saying and
Mhm.
everything, and I get what, everybody has a truth, but I look at it like this. When you want to be in your child's, you want to be a part of your child's life, you're going to do everything you can to be in your child's life. Ain't nobody going to stop you from wanting to see your kid if that's what you truly want to do.
But that's not true, because there's so many people in the world now that the mothers get mad at the fathers and then they're bashing them. And I'm not saying this is your story, but I'm saying there are so many mothers that are bitter. They have a baby, they think it's going to keep the man don't work out, and then all of a sudden they telling the child, your daddy ain't shit, your daddy ain't gonna be nothing, he ain't never did nothing for you. And how many times have you heard that story? How many times have you seen mothers saying, I ain't never letting him see his father, I don't give a damn what he do? Because there are mothers that are bitter, and there are fathers that do try. There are fathers that try with all their might to see their kids and to come out here and be the best father they can be. But if you have a mother that's planting seeds in a child's head constantly every day, making you feel bad about the father that you got, what do you do? What
I'm
do you
not
do?
saying that you're not wrong in that situation, but that's not
Your
the
situation.
situation
That's
in
what I'm
my
saying. That's
case.
not yours. But I know you said, you made a comment that what father isn't going to fight to see their kid. That might not be your story, but there are fathers, and I'm really defending some of the fathers, because there are fathers that do try very hard to see their kids, and the mothers are just like, no. You dating her, you ain't never gonna see your child. You want to be with another woman, you ain't never gonna, they hold it like a little prong over your
I
head,
get that.
and
I
they date.
get that, but you can go, you can pursue the people. If like I said, if a father wants to be in your life, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, but a mother can't just legally keep the child away from the father. Like, you can go to court and
But they can. I mean, I can
pursue.
speak for my own dad.
Mhm,
We had a brother,
mhm,
and we didn't know him. We knew him. My dad always told us about him. My dad always told him, if anything ever happens, find him. And but his mom kept him away. Like, my dad could not see him at all. And we grew up
and
years apart. He
did he try?
tried. He tried with everything in his power. That's how we knew. And then years later, we decided collectively to go on social media when they had MySpace and look for him. Just so happened we saw a picture of a guy that looked like us. And we reached out and said, hey, I don't know, this is going to sound a little crazy, but I think you might be my brother. And that's how we met our brother. And we have all the love. We met the kids. We know the family now. But it was years and years and years and years. You're talking about we met him when he was almost 42. But the mother was like, no, you're not going to see him ever, and moved him far away. So there is a way where if a mother doesn't want you to be in somebody's life, there are ways, baby, that you can keep them away.
Yeah. And like I said, again, I'm not saying you're wrong, but there's also, you have to consider the fact that some parents don't want to be found. Some parents don't want you to find them. Some parents don't want to avoid their obligation of being a parent. They don't want to pay because they don't want to pay for the child financially. You don't want to pay child support and everything. You out here making all these kids and you can't afford them and everything. So then you leave the mother and you put the responsibility all on her to raise the kids by yourself. So you're not wrong, but I just feel like I'm not wrong either.
No, it's not a matter of wrong or right. I think in your scenario, it's a little different,
Right.
than because the stuff that y'all went through and the stuff like that. Now,
Right.
I think, there was a girl years ago. Clayton said, just forgive and move on. And Valon said, amen, both sides of the spectrum on the subject. True. Shelly it's a tough situation. It is. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not bypassing Leah Nicole's feelings and emotion because she's entitled to them. But if she doesn't know, my thing is, if you don't know somebody, you're basing your facts and your truth off what you've been told through the years about your father. If it was reverse roles, if somebody came to you right now and said, your mother lied, that is not the way it went. This is what really happened. And this is why he did this. And this is what would your perception of it be then? Would it be like, oh my God, you lied to me for all these years? Would it be what you see what I'm saying? It could work both ways.
It could, and I'm not saying that it couldn't work both ways. And also, I just want to address Clayton's comment. It's not that easy and everything. I don't know your situation and everything with your mother and your father, so it's easy for you to just say, just forgive and move on. Maybe for you.
I mean, at some point, I don't know where you are in healing regarding your father, because sometimes patterns are formed whether you know it or not. And like you said in the beginning, you think that it's caused you to make poor choices in your life because of not having that role model as a father. And then it goes into, did your mother ever date again? Did she ever bring a man around you where you could know a role model of a father and what that looks like, or what it feels like? Or did she play like me, a mom and a dad, where you're playing the mother and the father all the time? What were you able to ask the questions that you don't know, that you're trying to dig for answers? Or are there questions that you don't know that you want answers to, and be like, I want to know why, and I want to know the what nots and the what ifs. And that's why I keep coming back to the whys. What about those whys?
There are questions. There are questions that I would like to know answers to. But the thing is, like I said, it's a tough subject for her, because she still deals with a lot of trauma behind that. So I avoid, out of respect for her feelings, and I understand what you're saying, but what about my feelings too? So sometimes that subject is a little touchy with her. So I try not to really discuss, and we try not to discuss and talk about that with her, because it's the same. It's just because I know it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same, story. I know what I'm going to get.
So what about your healing? How do you heal when you don't know? How do you heal yourself as Leah Nicole? How do you go on as a woman, having all this stuff that you think about daily in your head, whether it's subconsciously or consciously? How do you move forward when you have so many questions of your own that you're just saying, hey, I just want an answer? It could be a bad answer. It could be a goofy answer. It could be a great answer. It could be just an answer. But how do you heal? And like he said, that's why I think when he's saying just forgive and move on, how do you get there if you can't even forgive because you don't even know what you've forgiven yet?
Yeah.
That's the harder part to the question. How do you forgive? It's like if somebody's beating you, right? Which we've both been domestic violence in situations, and somebody's beating you, and you never have the discussion as to why. Everybody that's been in a domestic violence situation, they want to know why did you hit me? What
Right.
made you hit me?
Right.
What about me made it look like I was the punching bag?
Right.
When you finally get the answer, you can somewhat breathe and say, okay, I get it. Maybe it was something that was bad in your life and I reminded you of it, or maybe it was just what you saw all your life and you thought that was the way you were supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? You yearn and you reach for these. I want to know and I want to understand. It's just like if you break up with a guy and he doesn't tell you why, you're still going, what did I do? What did
Right.
I do wrong? What did I do to
Absolutely.
deserve? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So
It's a lot of
that's
unanswered questions.
unanswered questions. It leaves room for all these other things in someone's head. What if one day, like there was a girl in school, right, that was in school with me in Cedar Grove, and she went through a similar situation like this. She didn't know her father. She ended up dating this guy that went to another high school, right? Dated him and was dating him, having intercourse and everything. They dated for like 2-3 years. Years down the road, right? They go to this cookout. She goes with her guy friend to this cookout. And the auntie at the cookout was like, hey, I know that little girl. And then the auntie was like, you cannot be dating her. That is your sister. It was his sister. And the girl literally tried to kill herself. She has been institutionalized. And I don't even know what happened to her. She went out of her mind
Wow.
after finding out that she was sleeping with her brother
Her
all
brother.
these years. Like
Yeah.
it literally drove her crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So you say your father has a lot of siblings. How many of them do you know? How many cousins you don't know?
Yeah.
You're
That's why.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're young,
Mhm.
pretty little, pretty young lady. You could be out here and boom. Next you know, you fall in love and that's your cousin. Then what do you do? Who do
Yeah.
you blame? Your
I
dad?
I know. I don't. I may not know everybody. I know quite a few of them. Quite a few of them, and that's why my mom has said the same thing to me. That's why that's in the she was, and she sat me down. She talked to me. She was like, "Look, y'all got a lot of siblings all over the ATL, all over New York, and everything. So anybody who y'all I need to know because y'all could be out here literally sleeping with one of y'all brothers and sisters, and y'all don't even know, you related to that person."
How would she know? I mean, he could have had more kids after y'all. You see what I'm saying? How is she gonna know all
Yeah,
this?
he does. And she knew he had more kids after us.
And does she know all of them?
I don't know. She know a lot of the older ones before us, and she knows them. And
Unc said, see, this is why I write along the lines of healing. It's a lot of, this is a heavy topic, but it's
yes, it
also
is.
a topic to a lot of young people
Mm-hmm.
that don't, that have fathers that's just out here randomly running around, making babies all over Atlanta,
Right.
doing the most, popping out children, don't take care of them, and then they grow up and then they merge some type of way. And then you're in the middle because I think as the kids, parents have an obligation to their children. We do to a degree. The one thing that I've learned in my life with both my kids, their dads, I might not think that they were the greatest fathers in the world, but I don't bash them. I don't sit down and engage in the bashing. I don't be like, oh, your daddy didn't do this. We didn't work out. We just didn't. There is no bad story to tell. It's just we didn't make it. We just couldn't, it was what it was. Now, whatever they choose to say to their child, that's what they choose to say. But it's not going to be my story. It's not going to be, oh, daddy wasn't shit. Daddy didn't do nothing. I could say both our relationships were crazy. But at the end of the day, what am I going to get out of it? Hurting my kid because my kid's going, I don't even know how to feel about this dude that didn't like my mama, or my mom is telling me a story. So it's a subject that I feel like should be talked about.
I guess I would be when you asked me. I believe everything that's been told to me. I do.
Mhm.
But I don't know, maybe one day And like I said, even if this man is even willing to meet me or talk to me, because that's what I'm saying. Like I said, some parents just don't want to be found.
So
I just feel like maybe I'd be open to hearing, but I don't think that. I think that what I've been told is the truth.
But why do you feel like everything you've been told has been the truth? What makes you feel like in your gut that everything you've been told has been the truth?
Because it's been more than one person to tell me. It's, like I said, it's not just, it's my mom, my aunt. Why doesn't your family, your own family, want to deal with you? Why are they saying all these bad things about you? Why is the family saying these things? Everybody can't just be making this stuff up.
Okay,
I definitely don't believe my mom made anything up.
Let me play devil's advocate again.
Mm-hmm.
I know you. You're my co-host. You're my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I go to somebody and I say, Aaliyah, she is so, she could be so miserable and moody and just sometimes she could be just, okay. I done told my story. Somebody believes me.
Mm-hmm.
The word gets back to you and they say, oh yeah, such and such described you and said you was just miserable, moody, you don't like nothing. And then your thing is, what would your comment be?
Well, do you know me? Did you take the time to get to know me for yourself?
Okay, now let's flip the script.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom told you your dad was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
He was horrific. Your aunt told you your dad was horrible. Your cousins might have told you your dad was horrible. He was horrific.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if God himself can change a man from Saul to Paul to an apostle, and he can change and put you in the belly of a whale and say you're going to come out whole, how do you know? How do you know that this person cannot change? Or how do you know he hasn't? Because no one knows where he is. So how do you know if you meet him, he might be humble? How do you know he's not willing? How do you know he's never looked for you? How do you know he's never asked for you?
I don't know.
You don't know.
And the sister told me when I went to the aunt's house, this is according to what she said, that when we moved somewhere, that apparently he did try back in early 2000s. He said he thought he had an address from my mom. This is coming from her, one of the oldest sisters. Told me that he thought he had an address from my mom and tried to find out where we lived. I don't know.
So you see him. So if you don't know, because see, I think you might have unanswered questions in your own head and you might toggle with it, and I'm not saying your mom was wrong, because I probably would have ran too. But at the end of the day, you don't know. Your answers are you don't really know, and it could shape you into the person you are today. Where it comes to when you meet a man, you're like, I don't know, he might be, or why are you attracted to this type of man versus being attracted to this type of man, or why would you do this versus that? And all of these things trickle down. God forbid you ever get sick and your mom can't give you an organ that your dad might be able to give you. There's reasons, that you should know the bloodline, what I'm saying? And how open are you to learning and knowing all of the kids? Or are you allowed to know the kids and the cousins and the aunties and the uncles that you may have? You see what I'm saying? How open, or do you just cut them all off because, I don't like my dad, so I don't like nothing that's attached to him?
No, the siblings are innocent. I've always felt that way. I've never felt any type of malice towards the siblings. We all met in a group chat, but all of us are pretty much adults. And I don't know, nobody really made an effort to try, including myself.
I was going to say, have you? I was just going to say, have you made it?
I said, including myself,
Mm-hmm.
to try and get together. I mean, what I will say, the older sister, she did try, but like it has been hard with us, with everybody living, most of them live down here in Georgia, but some still live in New York and everything. And she tried, and it was just hard and everything. And part of me was open to getting to know them, and then part of me was like, I don't know.
Was part of you feeling guilty because of your mother? Like, my mom
Yes,
does
it absolutely was guilt because of my mom. And it was guilt because of my mom, and that's why that's kind of, that played part of a reason in me not really getting to know them as well. But, like I said, I felt like we all collectively didn't really make any efforts to try to get to know each other, or go or get together and hang out. And, it was a lot.
Unc said, right, me either. I don't do bashing. I let time define how my kids feel about him. Neither do I allow others to talk about him with or around my kids. And I think a lot of parents should probably do. And I'm not saying your mom, I'm just saying I think a lot of parents, young and older, they should allow they should let the kid make the choice whether they want to know somebody or not. I think it's wrong because I went through something in my life. It's like, you take my situation with my son. My first husband was abusive, very, you know. I had a child, I made a baby, but my child can't sit and tell you no days that I said, you don't need to see your daddy. Your daddy is an asshole. He hit me, he beat me, he knocked me out. And my abuse was bad, it was severe. I can remember a lot of times we had broke jaws, broke ribs, babies kicked out, black eyes, busted heads, all kinds of stuff. But in my heart, all I could say was, God, got to deal with him. I don't hate him now. You see what I'm saying? I don't have this conversation with him, but I didn't take my child away because I knew at some point my child was going to say, who do I look like? What about me? What about how do I know? I knew the what ifs was going to come eventually. So it was what it was. Yeah, this was your dad. We had our little time. We tangoed a lot, we did the dance, and they met, when he was probably about, I think I sent him down there when he was 3, 4, something like that. They met, and then he went down there and stayed when he was like 13. Now, he didn't understand him. He didn't know him. He didn't know him from a can of paint, but he was so far away, but I let him go and I let him see for himself. Now you're old enough, you're 14 now, old enough to know whether you want to have this relationship with this person. And he has to tell you his truth and his story. And I allowed it. Now, he didn't say, oh, I used to hit your mom. He just said I was very mean. That's how he worded it. And that's how we left it. He was mean. Yeah, he was mean. All right. But I didn't form the opinion like your mom. And I think your mom and my story is so similar. But the thing is, I just didn't want my kid to suffer. Like, I didn't want my kid to not know the identity that he was going to struggle with at some point in his life, and he did. Just identifying who I identify to and who am I? That's what it comes down to. Who am I? Who am I?
Right.
And having siblings and having brothers and sisters and not knowing who they are and finding you got cousins that you don't even know you have, but you have them, and they talk, they got their own little bond, and I don't intervene. I don't, they know each other now. And it took years for my child to even say, hey, I want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him. And I said, well, here you go. Knock yourself out. And I don't get involved at all. And I'm sure my child probably said the same thing. Well, I want to respect my mom's feelings, but at the same time, I had to be an adult and say, you know what? It's your right to know. And if you meet him and you don't like him, then it's your right to say, I don't want to talk to him again. But what it won't be is me taking the right from you because of my pain. I was an adult. I knew what I was doing. I knew what I got myself into. I had every right to walk away, stay, go, and trust me, I've been dragged. So if I couldn't get up and wash myself off from it and still heal and be whole, I wrote a whole movie about it. You see what I'm saying? At some point, you can't, you as a child in a situation, you can't make your mom's pain be your pain because you didn't endure that infliction. It wasn't you being beat. You heard a story that was told to you as a child. You heard a story as an adult, and that's the story you stuck to. I'm sure my child has heard every story about her father at this point in her life, but it's not my place to say my pain should be yours. You should be mad at your father because your father hit me. You should be mad at your father because he gave me a black eye. You should be mad at your father because he dragged me down a hallway. No, you can't. You didn't go through that with me. You don't know what that looks like. What I can say is here, you make your own decision. And if you decide you want to talk to your dad, then baby, hats off to you. I don't have to deal with him because I'm healed from it. You see what I'm saying? If I'm still broken, then I mean I'm bitter. And I ain't bitter about it no more. I talk to him. Hell, he called me sometime. Hey, I'm trying to find Nate. Where she at? Oh, hold on, let me find her. Because I've came to a peace in my mind with it. It was what it was. Whatever demon he was fighting, it was his demon to fight. It was not mine. And that's how I have to look at it to be able to go forward. You see what I'm saying? Because I had my dad in my house. You know, I know what it feels like to have a great father. Every man I picked was not like my father. That was just me being grown and wanting to be fast and wanting to be out here. You know what I'm saying? I picked the wrong pickings, but it had nothing to do with that. But what I'm saying to you is you have to be able to not endure your mom's pain because that's not your pain to carry. It's not your pain to carry that. And I don't think any parent should put that on their child. It's not it's not your pain. Yes, it's your mom. I get it, but it's not your pain.
Right. I understand everything you're saying. I understand everything you're saying. I get it. That I would. But unfortunately, and I keep going back to my mom, she is not healed from that situation. She is very bitter and very angry. Still to this day. And I get it. You're right, and you're right. So I think a lot about how that will make her feel. I know how I know I'm an adult now, and I know you're right. I should have the right to make a decision if I want to meet my parent or not and everything. But like I said, she doesn't think that way. She thinks our loyalty is to her, and it's always been to her, and she's the only one who loved us and cared for us. And
that's what, okay, so Epiphany said a lot of parents will put that on a child in the name of loyalty, which is what you just said. And then she said it's not fair. And I agree with her. It's not fair because you should not make your child or children or anyone carry your pain because you're not healed as a person. You have to heal yourself. It's not fair to a child to say you're not loyal to me if you don't hate your dad. You're not loyal to me if you don't like your auntie. That's not fair. It's just not fair. And I mean, I'm not taking anything away from your mom. But what I'm saying is that is not your burden to carry. When your mother met him and he did his first act of whatever he did, she had a choice. The choice was stay or get out. You had baby number one, and I'm going to throw it out there. You had baby number one. You knew he was crazy when you had baby number one. Why did you have baby number two? She could have said, this nigga crazy. I'm getting the hell away from him. You see what I'm saying? And just went on. So what makes, you see what I'm saying? You got to make it, sometimes you got to just sit back and really think about it. What makes it make sense? I always say this to people. If you want to, it's like a person, you got a kid, you can't feed one and you go have 5 more. Why are you having 5 more and you can't feed the first one? Most people going to look and say, that's just stupid. So when you think about, okay, I can't ask no questions. I can't talk about it. I gotta suppress everything I feel in my spirit because I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, but you hurt. It's fair for you to hurt. That don't make sense to me. And it's not, it just don't make sense to me. Like, why should you be in pain? Why should you carry the load of saying, I can't ask no questions. I ain't never gonna know. I'm just gonna have to roll with what it is. I can't ask no questions at all, not one, without stirring up an argument or making somebody mad at me or making somebody feel like I'm asking too many things, or my loyalty doesn't lie. You didn't tell your mom to get in a situation that was abusive. You didn't tell her to get involved with a man that was crazy. And if she's not healed from it, that means her healing is reflecting on you because you're not healed either. So y'all both just not healed from one situation that you really don't know much about, but what you've been told. If that makes any sense at all.
It makes perfect sense. It makes sense. But what do you want me to do?
So
even if I did, let's just say be open. Pull the comment up. Children should be allowed to experience their parents on their own. I never talked bad about my daughter's biological father to her, regardless of what he put me through. She came to her own conclusion that he is an unreasonable person. She has to heal for many reasons. Hurt turns into diseases. Unhealed parents balance pain through other people. Everyone is a pain bearer.
Yeah, and that's true. That's what I'm saying. Like even if you never get an answer from your mother, you probably should go to counseling so you can heal from the wounds that you cannot never get answers to, because you'll keep doing that. And when you get married, you'll probably have a little bit of that in you still. So you have to heal for the purposes of yourself. That's why I put myself in it with the guy that I was dating when I had my first child. He was abusive to the point where I hated him. I hated every time I looked at this man, I thought about ways to just throw him off of a cliff. But if I was to sit down and tell my child that every day your father just was horrible and horrific and you should hate him just as much as I hate him because I bared you and I carried you and I dragged you and I put you through school and I did all this stuff without no help, I could have been that mother. I could have said those same things. I could have screamed out those same things to my kid, but what would it have done? My child would be sitting here like you going, I don't know. And my loyalty is to my mom, and I can't talk to my dad because my mom hates him so much. That means I'm broken still. And if I'm saying, you say your mother's still broken from it, so that means in your heart she's not healed. And that's years ago. How old are you? When do you heal from it? When do you say it's okay to have this conversation? When do you move the rug, so to speak, and say, I'm going to pull this from under this rug because this is under the rug and I need to talk about this so I can fix and heal myself as a woman? And maybe part of my pain and my sadness is because I don't know, and I really want to know, and I really want to close this part so I can be free of it, whatever it is.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That's where I think the bigger picture is when it comes to not having a father in your home and not understanding and cry. I can think of many tears that I've cried with my kid in the bed when he was first born, and I'm going, God, what did I do? What did I do? And how do I fix this? And the time that he could talk, and I'm running around trying to be the prodigal mother and smile. It's brokenness. Yes, she said, Uncle said counseling is needed. And then Epiphany said, also parents will only tell their side, not the part that they have played in the situation. Accountability is absolutely a must. And that's the thing that I said too. Your mother has told you her part, but did she do anything? You don't know. She could say, oh, he just hit me. Now I could tell my child today, I was in a situation where my ex-boyfriend was very dominant and he was jealous of everything. I don't care if I'm skirting on a line. He was always very jealous. So a lot of the things that I did, if I was just being myself, that would make him angry. If I was just smiling too much, that would make him angry. I grew up in a time when I was around a lot of celebrities and everybody was on the scene and he owned a nightclub and I was in and out of everything and I was always smiling and I was always laughing. He didn't like to see me smile. That bothered him. You know, I remember the night when Tupac came to the club and I had a black eye and a broke jaw, you know, and I'm covering up the face, sitting in a ticket booth, smiling, you know, to everybody and just smiling. No one didn't, that's not something I'm gonna sit down and tell my kid. Your dad was a monster. You know, he was a whole monster. Why should I inflict my pain on my child? If I want my child to blossom and smile, why should I tell him that this is what you came from? You came from hate. That's basically what your mom is saying. You came out of hate. I hated your dad when I had you. I hated both. I hated him because there was no love there. So what does that feel like? That you're born out of nothing? You basically you wasn't even loved.
That feels, yeah, it makes me feel very unloved when you say it, especially when you put it like that. Like, oh, he was born out of hate.
Because what could it have been?
Alon said, I will be praying for you, Leah Nicole, for your healing, and you have to forgive. It's for your own sanity. Thank you, Alon. I appreciate that. I hated my older kids' dad, but they never knew it. Neither did my family. My brother recently asked me some things he's just hearing about that's damn near 30 years ago. I told him if I handled it, there was no need to keep it, energizing it. My brother would have been in jail for years, missing his life while mine goes on. Yeah.
And Tiffany just said,
it's a lot of it is definitely a lot of counseling and a lot of healing that has to be done from this situation. It is on my part, her part, and I can accept that and everything. I'm going to have to I'm definitely taking everybody's opinion into consideration and everything. I'm talk to God about it and everything. And
because you got to think about it. And I'm saying this, you know, as your friend and being around you and knowing, I think, you know, you're a beautiful soul, but there's so much sadness that shatters you that you can't even be the beautiful soul that you really are, because the pain and the cuts are so deep. You see what I'm saying? The pain is deep and it's real, and it's not fair to you. It's not fair that you can't speak about it, talk about it. If anything, you should be able to say, Ma, you know what? This stuff hurts me. It affects me. It makes me feel some type of way. I feel like screaming sometimes. I don't even know whether I want to jump off a building or jump in my room. You see what I'm saying? You should have the option to say those things, not suppress them and hold them. And even if you don't never be able to talk to your mom, you need to get somewhere where you can heal yourself so you can be free and say, you know what? It is what it is. I forgive her. I forgive him so I can be whole.
Right.
That's it. So I could be whole.
Right.
I mean, and that, you know, that's just
what it is, what it is.
Baby, it's just what it is. Because it's a long road to carry it. And then you get older and then you meet somebody and you fall in love. And then they ask you, that question's going to be asked in your life. Yes. Your kid will ask you one day, where's my granddaddy? What are you going to say? Your granddaddy hated me and I hated him. You don't even know if you hate him. You just know you hate him because your mama hated him. You know you don't like him because your mama didn't like him. What about you?
The question comes up a lot, even when you're dating someone. It comes up a lot. It's a tough subject, but
you handle it. You handle
it. Yeah.
And then that's you know, it's not to put nobody on blast. It's not to make nobody feel bad, but people need to understand what they do to their kids when their kids are carrying their pain. You see what I'm saying? It's a bigger picture. I bared you in my stomach. I carried you. You see what I'm saying? It's not my job to take my pain and inflict it on you to make you hurt as much as I did and feel all my burden, that's not fair. That's not fair to no kid. No kid. It's not kid. And I don't, baby, please don't cry because you're gonna make me break down. It's not fair to you. He said, that's good that you received it, Aaliyah. You know you're my baby girl and I'm rooting for you healing. You got this. You go, girl, you go get through it because it's not we not, you're too beautiful to be so hurt on the inside. You know what I'm saying? It's not, it's you need to cry out. Like you need to get on your knees with God and you need to cry it out your system. And you're gonna also have to forgive your mother. You're gonna have to forgive her to get past this because you might never have the answers you want, but to heal from it, baby, you're going to have to cry to God and say, God, remove it from my spirit. Or you're going to be broken and picking broken men, and you're going to be stuck in this little rut, baby, that you don't need to be in. You see what I'm saying? It's just not fair to you.
Yeah.
And
crazy thing about it is I didn't even really, of course I think about it from time to time, and I don't think about it that much, but I didn't even really think about it this deep until we got into it today. I said, oh Lord, I dreaded it. I knew it was coming. I didn't think about it this deep until
but
today.
look how it makes you feel now. Now you sitting and you see it from a different people's comments and saying, no, it's not fair to you as the child. No child should have to carry, and I mean no child should have to carry their parents' pain because of decisions their parents made. We all make decisions that we regret. We all make decisions that we wish we did not do something. We all do. But why should I take my pain and inflict it on my child and say, you're going to dislike this person because I do, and you ain't got no choice? That ain't fair. That ain't fair. I don't intervene with my child and her father's conversations. I don't even talk. But when they talk, they talk. I don't, if she come to me and say, oh, my dad and me had a great talk. Oh, you did? That's good. Yo, mommy, we talked about X, Y, Z. Oh, that's good. I don't sit there and go, well, I hate your goddamn daddy. Why are you talking to him? You know what he did to me? He dragged me. You should feel ashamed. I'm not finna do that. I'm not going to do that because I believe there's a God in heaven, and I believe he going to judge him on his day. And when he go to them gates that he got to stand in front of, God going to say, you did X, Y, Z. Now you got to tell me why you did it.
You're right. I love that you're supportive of your daughter's and her father's relationship, regardless of everything that happened. I love that for you guys. And just wish that sometimes my mom, sometimes I wish she could be that way. But, like I said, I know it's hard for her. Maybe maybe I can introduce, the counseling and everything. Maybe I can introduce it. But, sometimes when she's set on something, when she's set on dead, when you all are dead set on something, you're not going back on, you're not going back and everything.
So. But even if you say, hey, mom, we don't have to talk about dad, but can we get counseling together so I can heal from it? As a parent, she should be able to say, baby, I can give you that. Maybe I can use a little healing myself.
But she's open to she's open to counseling, definitely. It's just that, that particular subject, it's, grinds her, it gets her going. And you should do it. I mean, a lot of jobs offer EAP where you can talk to two people together. At least you will understand and you would have a closure to it, because I don't think you have a closure to this. I don't think it's closed in your mind. And I think that's why you carry it. You have to be able to let it go, especially going into your life and wanting your own kids and wanting to have this life, because kids ask questions all day long. They ask all the time. I'm going through it now with my little daughter, mommy this and mommy why. And I'm digging for all the answers. And I still can't say, well, this is why. I say, well, you was giving to me, honey, because you was my bundle of joy. And I'm supposed to make you whole. I got to say something, but I can't tell her, well, your mama didn't do this and your daddy. I couldn't do that to her. It'll break her heart. So all I can do is say, baby, guess what? You got me and I got you.
and we gonna love on each other and we gonna figure it out together.
Right.
See what I'm saying? You got to, yeah. You need to sit down though, and you need to have that conversation with your mom, and you need to, even if it's not talking about your daddy, but y'all need to heal on this one, definitely together. Balon said, "Amen. You telling the unadulterated truth, Shelly. I feel her pain. Iron sharpness, iron ladies." And Tamika said, "I know there's a tickling in your throat. Your chakra wheels have to turn freely. Take a few deep breaths and let it go at your own pace. If any of this is not understood, I will explain offline." And you might need to call her offline and talk about it. I know, y'all, this was a very heavy topic, but I needed for Leah Nicole. We had to have this conversation, not to bash anybody, not to bash her mom. Her mom is healing. Let me make that very clear to anyone who wants to take this podcast and make it a mess about this topic. It's about healing. It's about going forward. It's about her healing as a young lady. It's about facing pains that we do not want to face, talking about topics that are very hard, very emotional. You know, you have to talk, because this episode might heal 20 other people. Who knows who's watching and might say, "Hey, I'm going through that and I'm fighting these same things. And I'm fighting these same dramas and I'm trying to heal from it." Parents, let me be clear. You all cannot inflict your pain on your children just because you made a rational decision in your life to stick with somebody who may have been a monkey or crazy or whatever. You do not have the right to put that on your child and say, "Let it be loyalty." That is wrong in every direction of the word. You should not do that to somebody. You don't know how you break your kids when you do that. It makes it no better. It really don't. Anyway, y'all, we have gotten to this hour, as we always do. We try to bring shows, and episodes that can really help people out there. We hope that you share and like share and like and join our YouTube channel. Yes. We are Unfiltered at 5. And we are all going to pray for our little baby, Leah Nicole, because we love her and she's going to heal from this. And one day we're going to have a show. We're going to come back and she's going to say, "Baby, guess what? I'm living my best life and I'm smiling and I'm pressing forward and I'm doing my 1, 2, 1, 2. That's what we're going to do, baby. That's what we're going to do. We're going to love on each other. We're going to press on each other. We're going to keep talking about the real. That's what we're going to do. We love y'all. God bless. Thank y'all for watching. God bless. We are out of here.
Girls, let's talk about it. Did you hear them talking about it? Oh my God, do you know this? Oh my God.
Oh my God, it's Shani Love and Leah Nicole. Shani Love and Leah Nicole on a roll. Lighting up the stream, the vibe is full. Shani Love and Leah Nicole, let's go. Kicking down doors, we make some noise. Grown folks talk with truth and voice. Doing it big, turning up the flow. Shani Love and Leah Nicole, you know. Oh yeah, it's Shani Love and Leah Nicole. Oh yeah, it's Shani Love and Leah Nicole. Everywhere, it's Shani Love and Leah Nicole. Oh yeah, grown talk vibes, the moment is here.
Thank you for tuning in.